welcome to Work the Left Side. It is a year in review. Myself and JC are back looking at the pay-per-views in '97 from WCW and WWF. We have got to the halfway point. We're at June, so that's King of the Ring. Dude, you good?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how are you doing? I'm excited to be back on the 1997 train after it's been a month or so, hasn't it, since our last one?
Yeah. That's it. But fondness, distance or absence makes the heart grow fonder. So
this is a key one. Like, this is some, maybe not in the event itself, but some famous stuff happens around it.
Definitely, yeah. It's the aftermath. This for me was the launching pad for that godlike wrestling that we've been hyping on about, since we started doing this kind of thing.
Real transition with the main event and the mid card on this one, definitely.
Yeah, huge. It's huge in fairness, because obviously, like the King of the Ring, when we get to those matches, the final, that kicks off an amazing feud for the summer in '97. Before we go into the show, obviously anybody who knows this era of wrestling, we touched upon it and we've talked about it in like messages, the whole HBK Bret Hart shit hit the fan basically on the Raws leading up to this King of the Ring. You had Bret ignoring time nods and then going over on his time, so Shawn missed the super kick at the end of Raw, which pissed Shawn off.
Watching it in hindsight, it's so blatantly obvious. Like, what he talks for so long. Like, I watched it. I haven't had a chance to watch all of the Raws for this one, unfortunately, but I've seen like the key moments, and I watched both the Bret promos in full, and the one where he's in a wheelchair. Like, I was watching it, and he was talking for ages, and I was like, "There's still 5 minutes left. Like, this must be like the whole thing where he kicks him and stuff," and it wasn't. And I was like, no wonder like everyone was livid, because he just goes on, and it's blatantly obvious that he's
dragging it out, isn't he? You can tell, like he finishes a sentence and he's just like, oh, and kicks off into something else, and you're like, dude, obviously on the network it does kind of run over, and then you do get to see the super kick. But obviously, at the time they had to show that on whatever the next show was in a replay, and then on the next week's Raw they started it off with that kind of thing.
I remember, because I used to watch, and at this point I was watching Raw every week. This was just when I started. It was the first time I had Sky, so 1997. So I was probably why it's such a good year for me, because it's the first time I watched Raw like every week. And I remember this happening. I thought it was a bit of a letdown, the end of Raw. And then next week they showed it. I was like, oh wow, why didn't they show that? And like, obviously, like, because Bret, and he denied it for years. He possibly still does. I actually listened to Bruce Pritchard's take on it as well after I watched it. He does a podcast, Something to Wrestle, and with Conrad, and he says he was livid. Like, he got visibly like annoyed when he's asked about it years later, or Something to Wrestle With. I'm never sure if it's because they say Something to Wrestle With Bruce Pritchard. It's always a play on words, isn't it? But he's livid, and all the production people were livid as well, and Shawn was too. And apparently, like, the camera crew, Shawn, every person in his ear, everyone was giving him a cue, and he just said he missed it. And Bret was just proper dismissive. And then Vince, when he came backstage, Vince just went off with Bret, so it kind of protected him. And then Vince came back and got mad at the production crew because the talent were like untouchable. So sounds pretty sus. And then promo the next week.
Well, as retaliation, that obviously pissed Shawn off to the point of he threw he crossed the line of messing with the dude's family by implying live on air Bret was having an affair with Sonny, with the Sunny Days comment.
Even though lately you've had some sunny days, my friend, you still can't get the job done.
I will say Bret handled that one very professionally. He looks visibly pissed off, but then he just takes it straight back to the match and is very professional, and he just like does his sign out cues and plugs the match. So he handled that one well. Because is that where they had the fight after that promo?
No, basically they didn't talk to each other for a few weeks after that. The actual fight happens before the Raw after King of the Ring.
Oh, so
the night after.
So when we see King of the Ring, it hasn't happened.
No,
right?
It's the night after, basically.
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was near a SummerSlam, but I guess SummerSlam's still a couple of months away.
But yeah, no, it's the night after, because they haven't talked to each other for like since the Sunny Days comic kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Brett approaches Sean. Sean tells him to effing do one. You ain't spoke to me for weeks, and I want to talk to you now, kind of thing. And there's obviously different scenarios, different people tell different stories. But yeah, it just massive hoo-ha.
To take it back to King of the Ring, you were telling me off air that that the matches got changed because of those promos. That's why I thought the fight maybe had happened beforehand. So why did they change the matches just off the back of the promos?
They just weren't willing to be in the same room together, work together.
They refused.
They said that Brett still had a bit of an injury, but as I say, the match itself, the stipulation was Brett had to beat Sean in 10 minutes. So I think that was put in place to protect Brett anyway. You know, there could have been shenanigans, there could have been
terrible stipulation. I hated it.
Exactly.
In a 10-minute match like that, that would have been. I'm glad they didn't do that. That's a terrible idea.
But yeah, they just refused to even be, in the same room together, anywhere near each other. So they just, and obviously it was meant to be Austin versus Pillman, which they rewrote into the following night's Raw. So the Raw after King of the Ring, we're meant to get Austin.
That would have been Pillman's big moment, because he never really has one, does he, in WWF? Like, he's kind of just part of the Hart Foundation, but he never has an individual moment. Like, he kind of just comes back and gets bullied by Steve Austin a bit. Like, he got what are the famous things? Like, he gets his ankle done in, Pilmerized with the chair. Austin breaks into his home, and he so badly has to pull a gun on him. And then he joins the Hart Foundation, and he's still against Austin, but he's just like a little bit part of the Hart Foundation. And then obviously the stuff with Goldust, which is it's sort of quite sad to look at, because that was around the time of the end of him, which is coming up in this year. And
he got swirled, obviously, at King of the Ring, which we will discuss.
Yeah. So he's kind of like Steve Austin's Patsy a little bit, which is a shame, because his promos are so good, and he's so believable and just wild. It's a shame we didn't. It was just a real missed opportunity, definitely.
No, I think it was just a series of bad events, on luck. Just things never clicked, after the car injury, then re-injury, and then X, Y, and Z. Anybody who knows me knows Pillman's in my top 5.
I know you really rate him, don't you?
Yeah.
So do you rate him because of the stuff that he did in WCW, near the end of WCW?
Across the board, really, for in-ring stuff, WCW stuff. I loved his sort of the promos and stuff he cut in ECW.
I was going to say ECW, that's where he was. And is that because you enjoyed the sort of crossing of the line that he did? He was one of the first to do it. Make that fourth wall a bit.
He killed kayfabe, really. I think it might, he's one of the guys that could be held up to being, the guy who is Mr. Kayfabe killer in a lot of eyes. So, but I just think the guy's awesome. And like I say, you just look back at his single stuff, his high, Flying Brian Pillman, or look at his stuff in the Hollywood Blondes with Austin. The guy's just absolutely amazing. It's just so ahead of his time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's never sort of been in my top 5 or even top 10, but I really like him. But I think the reason he's not further up is because I never really watched him in WCW or ECW. So my only exposure to him was this WWF run. So, which I like it, but I feel, I just feel he's a bit of a sort of patsy to Steve Austin, and that lets it down a little bit.
No, definitely. I can't argue that. Obviously, the other thing about the Raws before we get to the pay-per-view was the Mankind interview with JR. They did 3 episodes, 3 interviews.
I would say they were a real catalyst to me becoming a wrestler. I think it's because I watched them, and because they were real, and this is why it was such a good babyface. I think initially, it really made someone like me who was I was interested in the gym and stuff, but I wasn't real sporty at school and stuff. So at this at this point I wasn't like that athletic, but it was like, oh yeah, you can there's maybe another way for me to do this. And we're straight. I guess when I became a wrestler, I did become a bit more athletic with it, but and yeah, maybe wasn't really a Mick Foley character, but he was definitely a huge influence on me, and it really stemmed from these promos and then his book that he released. Have I talked on the podcast about my Mick Foley story?
Yeah. I thought with the car and
yeah. Never meet your heroes.
It's like, oh man,
you can link them whenever I talked about that.
Not through no fault of Mick. It was just a bad day, and it was just shit happened, did it, kind of thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, obviously humanizing Mankind. They want to turn him face. You know, they've realised they've got a guy that can work that way. You know, he's been just a really great heel since he turned up in '96. But I think obviously they want to explore, and yeah, so it's like, right, turn him face. Interviews with JR. It just works perfectly. Even like in the last interview when he's choking out JR because, you know, he's offended by something. But then he kind of steps back and he's like all concerned and like shouting for help. He just plays it perfectly. Yeah,
it was great. And they did the ones with Goldust as well, which I don't think were as good. Well, but I can't even remember them. Yeah, that sort of shows how, like, I've not watched either of them, but I remember the Mankind one vividly from all those years ago. So that's how much of an impact it had. And yeah, I remember but both of them, and they're trying to do it with everyone, but these two particularly, because they're such obvious characters, they're trying to change it from Goldust to Dustin Runnels and Mankind to, and they use their real names, don't they, for both of them now? Which we'll get on to Goldust, but yeah, I got a question for you on him when we get to his match.
Okay, cool. Right, so it's King of the Ring, 97. I think this is the last year that they do the doors with the people opening the doors. In 96, it was the Hardys. I don't know who it is in 97. I don't think it's anybody memorable.
Actually, it's possibly someone famous.
I did look. I just thought, it's the Hardys last year. I wonder if it's anybody, you know. I didn't recognise them. So if anybody wants to let me know in the comments if it was somebody and I'm an absolute idiot for missing it, please tell me. But yeah, starts off King of the Ring, semi-finals, first match, Ahmed Johnson versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Firstly, as a King of the Ring traditionalist, I hate the fact they start in the semi-finals. I used to love it when they had the whole tournament, and there's so much garbage on this show, non-tournament. They could have made it like that, but I think Vince doesn't like tournaments. He hates tournaments, which I love them. I used to love King of the Ring. I thought it was a really good concept. I've only ever booked booked two, but one I wasn't even there for. I've only booked one True Grit show tournament. That was the TG Cup, and it's still one of my favorite shows I've ever booked. Yeah, I love it. I always want to do like the TG Cup again. I will do it at some point when it fits in with the stories. I just have to think it would probably be a standalone show, and I may bring in a few different people for it. But anyway, that's a sidetrack.
Please, as a fan, just quick sidebar. Yes, I second that thought. If you get a chance to do it at any point, I know it's well known that you planned like back in 12 months, 24 months ahead for your shows. So if I've got to wait till 2026,
I want to do a few standalone. There's one standalone show already in the pipeline for this year, which is going to happen in July, and that's it's using some existing roster members, but then it will use a lot of new ones, and it's going to be a concept show. It's actually I can say it's the True Grit Games 2, but with a twist. I'll you'll find out more in coming weeks.
Nice. But yes, Ahmed Johnson, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, first semi-final. Ahmed, as always, gets a massive reaction.
He's gone downhill though, hasn't he? He comes out at the end of the show, but his status in the company has gone down and Triple H's has gone up. A year ago, he would have squashed Triple H and beat him real quick, but no, he's losing to Triple H, and fairly, like, he still cheats, but it's a strong win for Triple H. Like, all that happens is China steps up on the apron and he pedigrees.
Yeah, that's it. It was, for me, I've gone straight to the point. It was a a below par Raw match for me.
Yeah.
You know, it obviously they wanted it out of the way quick. Semi-final, keep Hunter fresh for the final. And yeah, like I said, Ahmed gets his moment at the end, so he gets a little bit of redemption, a bit more light on him at the end. So it's a kind of a throwaway match for that reason.
Yeah, it was very average, I thought. Because it was average, I gave it 5, but now I think probably 4 is more. Yeah, I think you're right. 4. Now I'm remembering it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like from other matches that are coming. I kind of it's kind of like spoiler alert. They kind of see it's like a 0.5 up curve throughout the pay-per-view kind of thing. So this starts at a 4 for me.
Yeah.
So, and then next semi-final, Mankind versus Jerry Lawler. I thought this match was more brutal than I was expecting for a semi-final match against Jerry Lawler in '97.
I liked it. It's one of in recent times. It's probably one of the best Jerry Lawler matches I've seen. He because he kind of has his standard formula, doesn't he? In this era, and he does bugger all. All he does is like just punch and cheat, and pile driver. That's all he does. In this, he was doing stuff like those. Even like he did a bulldog, he did a drop kick, he was doing loads of moves, and I was like, oh wow!
The, fist off the second turnbuckle, the fight fist, and just the throwing Mankind's head back into the guardrail a couple of times. Pile driver on the outside. You know, it seemed like quite brutal bumps to be taken unnecessarily, but then again, it's Mankind.
I don't know. I thought it was good. Like and that Jerry Lawler's very good for turning people babyface. He's done it with Goldust. Now they're doing the same. They're obviously doing the same. They're using the same sort of formula with Goldust and Mankind. Obviously, I feel it worked better with Mankind. I think I know. Yeah, I sort of know why, or partly why. And we'll get on to that. But big partly why is because Mick Foley's so good, and he's just brilliant here. Like, and he's comes out and he's doing like bang bang like Cactus Jack. He's cracking jokes. He's a bit of a different character. Yeah,
to rewind, the promo that he cuts before the match was just got him so over. You know, those kind of interactions that we would obviously associate with Foley later on with the cheap hops and stuff like that. But when he's talking about it's my biggest night of my career, and Uncle Paul's not here because he's got other stuff going on. That's it. You're feeling sympathetic straight away. You're like, oh, bless him. It's his biggest night, and Uncle Paul's not there.
Yeah,
bless him. And then he's talking about like what kind of king would I be? And then he's talking about the Emperor's clothing, and then just being like, oh,
that's it. Yeah. He does the jokes beforehand, and I really like the finish as well. Like it's just goes for a pile driver, backdrop, sunset flip, and then goes. I was like, this is like as indie as it gets for Jerry Lawler. I thought it was good. I liked it. I was like, I'd do that spot if I did a mandible claw.
That's it. But yeah, I mean, it sort of it did its job. It was better than the opening match. It wasn't as good as the final, which it should never be. I mean, it only got a 5, which kind of sounds harsh in fairness, but I was probably expecting it to be like a 4 or like that. So a 5 is a good score for this match.
I'd actually score it higher. I really liked it. I'll give it 6. Okay. Yeah, I just thought, one of Jerry Lawler's best matches, and it was just. I just think throughout this show, Mankind was just brilliant, and it was good to see him like that. I possibly scored it 6 because I'd scored the previous one 5, but I still, I stand by that 6. I think the 5 was too high, but I really I did like this match.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I think it was a good match. It did its job. It ticked all the right boxes. It told the story. It got the fans connection with Foley as it should have done, and it just sets the tone perfectly for the final kind of thing. And Mankind obviously took more of a beating, so he's going to be going into the final weaker again, more sympathetic. He's going into the final more of an underdog because he took more of a kicking in this match. Yeah.
Very obvious Jerry Lawler wasn't going to win. Imagine if that had been the final. It would have been such a letdown. Jerry Lawler, Triple H. They're like mates anyway, in storyline wise. Right. Obviously, that wouldn't ever have happened.
But obviously, then we hit we mentioned it earlier, the Austin Pillman promo where Pillman's talking backstage, cutting just an awesome Pillman promo. It's just that scene, man, where Austin just comes up behind him and he's kind of looking over his shoulder, and then he kind of vanishes for a minute, and then he comes back up again, and it's just like bang, there we go. And yeah, swirly alert.
yeah, it's good, and like, it's so intense, Pillman, with his eyes in the promo as well. Both of them are good. Anyway, on to Crush versus Goldust. My first note was, what's the point? What's the point of the match? It was
a last minute addition. It was never announced. It was never said before the show it was happening. As we mentioned earlier, obviously 2 matches got put into 1 match. So obviously they had a gap on the card.
Okay.
Gosh.
Oh, so this was instead of Austin Pillman or Bret Shaw.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So from like 30.
Yeah, it was. I thought this was probably the weakest match on the card. I don't know, the first match wasn't great, but this was, I just didn't really like this. I feel with Goldust, because with Mankind, they can sort of humanize him, and we see this in the end by like removing his mask and stuff, and they transition him into being this crazy character, into being a real person. And they don't do that with Goldust. They're calling him Dustin Runnels, and they keeps talking about him being a family man and stuff. And bearing in mind, this is 1997. Anyone tuning in, like, is still going to see like him in this sort of ridiculous gold outfit and painted gold. And in that era, I think it was too much to ask of the audience. I don't think they really understood what they're meant to do with Goldust. Like, they're not booing. I think they're cheering him in spite of his character. They haven't quite got, and I'm not saying like completely turn him to Dustin Runnels, but he needed, a bit like how he's done nowadays, like he does half his face gold or something like that. And it's almost like it's meant to say the sort of the split personality of him. Like, doing something like, obviously it's years ago now, doing something like that with him then would have been quite cool, and he could have still had some sort of elaborate entrance. I don't know, but I think the character they're trying to push is not in line with the name and the character that he is still, and there's a little bit of a confusion of what he's meant to be, and I think that was difficult for Dustin Runnels. I feel like what's he meant to do at the same time?
He was put in a very bad situation, like you sort of said. I mean, if you didn't watch the Raws beforehand, but like on one of the Raws before King of the Ring, Terry came out and they had the daughter, and Goldust was in the ring, and his daughter came running down the aisle and got in the ring with him, and he was interacting with his daughter. And it's just kind of like, it just felt uncomfortable. It just felt like, this
still is like in the get.
Still full Goldust gear. And it's like, is he Dustin? It's just, Goldust was one of those characters when it worked, and he could embody Goldust. Dustin Runnels was awesome when he was Goldust, but when he was Dustin Runnels playing Goldust, playing Dustin Runnels. Yeah,
it's weird, but he's good at Goldust. He's good at Dustin Runnels, but when he's trying to, when it's Dustin Runnels playing Goldust, playing Dustin Runnels, you completely hit the nail on the head. Like, I think it didn't work, and I think it might work now. I think because it was such a different time, and it's a bit they educated their audience that the way he was dressed and his lifestyle was bad, because essentially it was homophobic, wasn't it? Like, let's call a spade a spade. That's what it was, and they got people to boo him on the basis of the fact that it was homophobic, and then they tried to transition away from it, and the way they did that was almost equally homophobic. They said they said, oh, cheer him now because he's not gay. He's actually married to Marlena. She's called Terry Runnels. And they actually had, they made a big deal about it. And he did promos like where Jerry Lawler is asking him, like, are you? And he says, no. And it's like, they're trying to get everyone to cheer. And it's just, I think it's like, it's a subject that the writers and Vince didn't really know or understand what they're doing. And in a way, like, you could do that now and it would be quite progressive and cool. Obviously, I've got drag artists on my show and stuff, and that's really good and it works. But I think the writers there are not knowing what they're doing, and they're trying to present Goldust as like bad, but Dustin Runnels as a good thing, and they just do it wrong. And I think Dustin Runnels was put in a difficult position.
Oh, he was put. Yeah, it was. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. You know, it's just you just cannot make that stuff work. And as much as they're trying to turn him face, you know, it gets a bit of a reaction. The fans are kind of, I think, like you said, they're kind of cheering him more for, we feel so bad for you, so we're gonna be like, yeah, you know, you're in a shitty position, we'll cheer you. You are good at what you do, so we appreciate it. But I think by the end of the year, Goldust is pretty much gone. You know, it kills the character.
Yeah. Yeah, like who is meant to relate to that character? Because on one hand, they're trying to push this sort of like Texas family man, and you're not going to get those sort of people cheering for him because they're like, oh, I don't sort of dress or look like that. But then people that it might be good for, who saying like, oh, look, there's someone who like is more like how I feel, who's wrestling. That's really cool. Like I feel comfortable, like you have with wrestlers nowadays, with like Sterling and Priscilla and lots of other people who represent different groups, and it's great because it's representation. This wasn't representation. This was almost like representing no one. Because I don't think there's anyone on either side saying I want to be like that person. I think there's people people saying they like him because Dustin Runnels is just good, but they're doing everything to fight it. I don't know. That's what I thought about that.
Yeah, and the match itself suffers very muchly from, like you said, it's the worst match on the card. It was a last-minute throwaway match. I think by this point, the kind of Dustin's realised he's trying to ice skate up a hill. You know, he's got this impossible task. Crush is Crush. You know, he's not much longer for the mix, and this match was there more for the evolution of the nation story. You know, with the conflict. You know, so yeah, first match got a 4. This got a 3.5. It's the lowest scoring.
Yeah, I think 3.5. Yeah, I gave it 4, but I think 3.5 is more deserving.
So it's just got to be just under that Ahmed match because it is worse. So yeah, we'll forget about that match. Was it LOD
Hart Foundation versus Legion of Doom and Sid?
Right. I only noticed this because somebody pointed it out to me ages ago. But you know, they cut a promo backstage with LOD and Sid. And yeah, it was pointed out to me like when Hawk's talking, Sid's mouthing along with Hawk. Sid's lip syncing Hawk's promo. It's like he's trying to keep track of it so he knows when to come in. And then Animal says something, and you can kind of see his lips moving a little bit. And then Animal turns to Hawk, to Sid, and then Sid's like, "Yeah, bro," you know, cuts off into normal Sid mode. But the lip syncing just absolutely breaks me every time. I'm just sat there watching him, like.
Yeah, I thought my first reaction was like, "Why is Sid back? Where's he gone?" I'm like, "How did he come back?" Because he's been gone like a few months, right? So we haven't really seen much since WrestleMania.
He came back on the previous Raw to challenge Undertaker because Undertaker wasn't representing the title because he was being blackmailed by Paul Bearer. And Sid came out and basically cut a promo like sort of saying, you know, when you beat me 1, 2, 3, I didn't have a problem with it. You know, you're the Undertaker. But now you're just some punk who's getting blackmailed by this chump. You know, I want my title back. So they challenged Sid and Taker on a match on the Raw beforehand.
Oh, right. But it kind of turned him babyface.
Yeah.
He was a heel. Yeah, he was meant to be a heel.
Oh, was he? He was meant to be, but I don't know. Sid was.
People liked him, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
People still liked him.
Yeah, he's the rule of the world, man. It's Sid. Yeah. Always gets a good reaction. He got an amazing reaction tonight. You know, when he came out with the promo, the fans absolutely popped huge for him. I would even say it was a Sid level pop as opposed to a World Warriors pop.
Yeah, it was good. A bit of a disappointing match, I thought. A bit boring, I thought. Kind of good to get the Hart Foundation and on the card, but I would have rather seen 7 King of the Ring matches rather than 3. So I feel we didn't need this, and we didn't need Goldust and Crush.
A few shout-out moments, though. When Bulldog gets Animal up for the vertical, that's just impressive.
Yeah.
I love the fact, I think it's Owen power drives Hawk, and Hawk just no-sells it. You know, he gets a power drive and he just pops back up and he's like, bam, bam, bam. But earlier, somebody did something to Sid, which was a massive move, and Sid just pops back up. And
that's a suplex from Bulldog as well.
Yes, it was that. Yeah, it was one. Yeah. So yeah, obviously Hawk and Sid were just like, yeah, we ain't selling tonight. Anvil went through a period of just not selling anything. You know, there was just like, it was big men in the 80s just not selling for anyone and just
I know. I felt a bit bad for Owen at the beginning, where they kept on going, why is Owen starting this match? like because he's so much smaller. But they're just kind of like bad mouthing Owen.
Yeah, but to be fair, man, he held his own. He hit a couple of sweet spots. I love the spinning leg lariat.
Of course, like the real reason why he started is because he's by far the best wrestler in the match.
Exactly, that's it. So it's like, right, yeah, get him in there. He can kind of control it a little bit. But yeah, I really wanted to like this match because I just like everybody involved. The crowd got behind it, which kind of lifted it a little bit for me. But yeah, it wasn't really needed. You know, I think I've watched it twice within quick succession. The first time I watched it, I think I gave it like a 6.5. Second time, got a 5.5 because it kind of, you know, I was just hyped.
I didn't really like this one. 4.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think better than the opening match and Crushing Goldust. But yeah, I didn't really. I just found myself. I was like watching it. I was like, I'm just not really enjoying this.
I enjoyed it more than the Mankind Jerry Lawler match. I think I
preferred Mankind Jerry Lawler.
I think it was just a 6-man dynamic. Like I said, just seeing Sid back. You know, LOD, Owen Hart always gets bonus points. Always gets an extra point just for Owen being involved. So.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being
5.5,
but maybe a 5. I definitely don't think it was better than Mankind Jerry Lawler.
Oh, that's cool. But like I said, I'm hyped for. You're a Brett guy. I'm an Owen guy, so I'm always going to be biased towards anything Owen related.
I do like Owen as well. Yeah, I think he's great.
It's final time now, isn't
it? Yeah. So I did a real 180 in this match. So we got Triple H and Mankind in the final. The first 5 minutes, I was watching, or the first half of the match. I don't know how long it was, maybe about 15 minutes. But I'm thinking this is not a patch on their later matches. Like, think of their Royal Rumble match. Even think like in a couple of months when there's Steel Cage or Cactus Jack on Raw, pile driving through the table. And I was like, this is just a bit pants. But by the end, I loved it. And I think it just needed a slower build because they haven't really interacted with each other yet that much. But this is the start of their feud, which is going to go on for years. And I feel Triple H actually really, like, people talk about how Mick Foley helped make Triple H, like, he really elevated into main event status. But I feel even though Triple H isn't a main event here, he really elevates Mankind here, or at least gives him longevity to his career and really gives his new character legs. Just by the way they do this match, it's just everything's different. Like, they even wrestle a bit at the start, which is different for Mankind. It's interesting to see how he copes with that. And the whole demasking thing at the end, that really humanizes him because he just looks like a normal bloke. It's a bit weird. He's still got the clumps missing out of his hair, but he kind of looks like a normal bloke at the end, and he's more relatable and stuff. And because he's against such good heel in Triple H, and you got China there as well, it really worked for me by the end.
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and I agree with the Triple H. Like I say, Mick Foley gets a lot of the credit, but it takes two to tango kind of thing. If you're a good guy, you're only as good as a good guy as your bad guy is, a bad guy kind of thing. You need to be a good guy. You need a really bad guy. And these two guys, it worked perfectly. Triple H being the dastardly heel that he was at the time, the blue bloods, the aristocrat. It just totally helped embody Mick Foley as the everyday, Joe kind of thing that you could get behind. So it worked perfectly. It was just
that the first pedigree through a table we've seen. Yeah, that was good. It was a mean looking one as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it took a second. He landed, and it was like there was a second, and then the table went. So it wasn't the actual position.
it wasn't very smooth, like it is later on, but it looks like vicious and mean.
Yeah,
It looks
it
kind of
made it look more.
it's
It made it look
it's
more legit.
scrappy.
Obviously, Foley got the visual 1, 2, 3. Before China then got in started interfering, it was a bit backwards and forwards.
I love the is it's good because it smashes, but that's good. But I always compare those step to shots. Do you remember when Macho Man hit Ultimate Warrior?
Yes.
Is that Royal Rumble '91? And it's just it's so it's probably really stiff. That's why it looks so good. But it's just I remember as a kid, I was like, that was one of the horrible, meanest things that I saw. So any step to shot I compared to that, so it always looks a bit pants when it's not as good.
Yeah, that's it.
It snaps and bounces off.
That's it visually. You're like, okay, that's kind of cool. You set the bar really high, as you sort of said, with the Macho Man doing it kind of thing. So we allow a little bit of leeway. I love the fact that Mankind still does the backwards nut shot. So it's kind of like, yeah, he's kind of a good guy, but the dude's still kicking you in the nuts.
Yeah.
So there's still that.
Yeah, they haven't. They're just slowly changing it, aren't they? Which is good. And he's still got the mannerisms and behaviour of Mankind, but they've just humanised him slightly.
And he hits the double arm DDT to get the one. Well, should be the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think it was before the Jerry Lawler. It was the Jerry Lawler match where he said he does the bang bang. So they are dropping little Easter eggs in there for wrestling fans who knew Cactus Jack kind of thing. So I don't remember Mankind hitting the double arm DDT that many times as a finish.
No, he certainly didn't do it as a finish. I think he has done it, but that's the first time he's really sort of done it as a finish. And we sort of acknowledging that he's Cactus Jack now, aren't we? And he does bang bang, and that was Cactus Jack's finish.
Yeah. So yeah, I love this match. I used to say it was a nice slow build, kind of got it's like a false sense of security where you wasn't. I think it lowered your expectations, and then when your expectations got down, it was just like, bosh, there we go. Right, here's a match. Everything's starting to click. We've now got you. It was trying to. The problem is when I'm scoring these, I really, really liked it, but I don't want to rate it too high because we've got Austin and Michaels coming up. I want to give it a 6.5, but that feels a bit naughty. Like it probably deserves a bit more. But on this show, it was a 6.5.
I really liked it.
7 out of 10.
I give it 8. Yeah, and I do. I really liked it. Like I wasn't expecting to like it as much. I thought it was. I just thought it was really good. By the end, I was like, "This is an awesome match," and just so many little things that I liked as well. Like the kick out, the finish was great. Like when it's the same as their finish in the Hell in a Cell in a way. Like he kicks out of like all this horrible stuff. The exception in this, he gets put through the table and hit with a scepter. In the Hell in a Cell, he falls through the cell, but he kicks out of both. Or he doesn't kick out of the cell, he climbs out of the hole, and then he cements it with the pedigree, and it really makes the pedigree look devastating because that's the only thing that could finish him. And they do the same finish here. I like that. I like the fact they did the same spot as a finish to a Jerry Lawler, but Triple H managed to counter it and get out. Little things like that I liked. I like the demasking. I thought that was cool. I like China's involvement. Just really, I did really like it. I also laughed at Triple H not wearing the crown. Do you know the story behind that? He hated wearing the crown and the outfit, which I find ironic because if you think years later, what's his theme song, like King of Kings, all that shit, and he comes out on a throne, but he didn't want to wear the crown, and he attacks Mankind with it and he breaks it, and I think that was on purpose. Like he was meant to attack him, but I think he broke it on purpose, the crown, because he didn't want to wear it, and he puts it on for a bit and then he takes it off, and the same with the robe, he doesn't want anything to do with it.
That's crazy. I'd be well pissed if like you just paid all this money. He's like, no, I don't want it, mate. You just like, bosh.
It'll be interesting on the Raws, and I can't remember him. He was meant to wear like the crown and this stuff, a bit like previous winners have won, and he never does it.
I've watched the Raw afterwards. He hasn't got the crown on. I don't know if he's got the thing on, but he definitely doesn't wear the crown because he cuts a promo on Vince on the next night, basically sort of telling everyone to go screw. It's his time now. He was meant to win it a year ago, but McMahon and his politics prevented him from winning it a year ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they're really doubling down on the reality stuff at the moment, which is makes it interesting to watch.
Yeah, so but I think that's why as well, because they want him to be edgier. You couldn't take him seriously if he was wearing that and the crown. So like you sort of said, they're trying to embody that reality of it and be like, right, this guy's got something to say. We kind of want him to be taken seriously. So yeah, we can't have him really wearing a crown.
Yeah.
So it's only a few people who can pull the crown off. Jerry Lawler, Booker T. That's about it, really, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It can be cheesy otherwise. I mean, it is still cheesy with them, but they pull it off.
Yeah, they embody it. King Booker. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. I just think purely, knowing what matches come later, if this was an 8, then the Royal Rumble match must be like an 11 out of 10 or something.
Yeah, I know. I see what you mean. Maybe a 7.5. But I did really enjoy it though.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I think that's probably we've talked about giving it actually ratings out of 10, and I think you have to give it ratings out of 10 specifically for each show. What might be 8 out of 10 on this match could be a 6 out of 10 on another on another show kind of thing. Yeah. So they're all very standalone scorings that we try and get a bit of continuity, but it doesn't always happen. So but yeah, we have got the match that wasn't meant to happen, but that was another thing as well. They kind of, with the King of the Ring, they emphasized the importance of firsts. Whoever won the King of the Ring, it was going to be the first time they ever won it. If Farooq won, it was the first time an African American would have been WWF champion. Yeah. Austin versus HBK was the first time that tag team champions have ever fought each other on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So that was the selling point on this one.
Yeah, and now we've got Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin, which was good. Had Hart Foundation. They did a promo at the beginning, didn't they? Yeah. They got they went to the back, and then
they announced Canadian Stampede.
That's
they
right.
Sort of came out sort of saying that we'll be in Canada, whatever the venue is. Can't remember off the top of my head. And we challenged 5 guys to cross the border, and come try and fight us. Yeah.
So it's all exciting because it's part of the biggest storyline that's going on at the moment. Involves all of them. But yeah, straight away, I really enjoyed this match. This is the wrestling in this match is what we should have seen at WrestleMania. Obviously, it's a slightly different twist on the characters. Like by WrestleMania, Austin's full babyface and Shawn is full heel. And here, they're both babyface, but they're both sort of trying to find their new characters. And Shawn's obviously going to go heelish, and Austin's going to go babyface-ish. But in this match, they're still treating Shawn as more the babyface, because Austin is still a heel, but people cheer for him. I think the only thing that I quite like it because it's very different actually, but it's there's a slight we don't quite know where everyone's at the moment, but maybe that's a good thing. It makes it interesting for sure.
They cover that perfectly. There's a line during the commentary during the match where JR's like, if you notice, the people cheering HBK have a slightly higher voice, and the people cheering for Austin have got a bit more bass in the voice. So they're basically, they're both getting cheered. Shawn's getting cheered by the females. Austin's is a man's man, and he's getting cheered by, your everyday sort of guy who just wants to kick ass.
Yeah. And if you've got young men watching it, you're going to turn them to Austin there rather than Shawn Michaels. Although I was a young man watching it, I was still a huge HBK fan. Even
the dude's got skill.
Heel I was. I told you the story when have I mentioned that before when we watched? Yeah, we watched Insurrection live. Me and my mate were the only two cheering for. Oh yeah, of course. I was doing my little dance in the audience.
Oh bless you! Yeah.
Sexy boy.
Because that's it. You said that, and then you was like, well, in hindsight, after rewatching all this, she's kind of like, yeah, Shawn was a bit of a git, to be fair. So maybe, it was uncalled for at the time, but the end of the day, you know, as wrestling fans, you can't deny the dude is, you know, one of the best ever in the ring. Quick sidebar though, because also, you know, we were talking about how much of a twat Shawn could be in this time period. I do just want to point out that just the heartwarming, soul-charging moment where it's near the start of the match, the Paralympian kid gets so invested in the match, jumps the barrier, and starts trying to get Austin. Security are pulling him back. Obviously, Michael stops the match, goes outside, tries to calm him down. The match continues. Austin, in total heel fashion, comes out and clops Shawn from behind, throws him back in the ring.
Is that genuine? Because I always thought that was genuine when I've seen clips.
Yeah.
This time I watched it and I was like, was that a work? Maybe they got maybe that was a work, because it displayed their characters perfectly. And I was like, yeah, maybe it was just all ad lib. But I was like, I wonder if that was a setup.
No, I think it was genuine, because you can see, like, Shawn then goes back out again because they can't get rid of the kid. Shawn gives him a hug, kind of guides him around. They both give a bit of abuse, but you can see, I don't know if it was his mum or, you know, family member comes running around. And yeah, it all looks very genuine. I mean, it's wrestling. I can't say for 100%.
Yeah. I just wondered when I saw it, but it was, but it was fantastic match. The wrestling in it, like, they're both really at their peaks here. Like, Shawn's going to be injured this time next year. Well, WrestleMania is injured, and also Austin's going to have the neck injury in a few months. So this is like, God, this is Austin's last big match before his neck injury, because the next one is SummerSlam. He's got Canadian Stampede, which is big, but that's 10 people. And then the next match is Owen at SummerSlam, and then his broken neck, which does change his style. Like, he never really has like a sort of good wrestling. He becomes a real brawler, doesn't he, after that? And I think that's it, because of the neck injury. He had to change his style a little bit.
That's it. You know, any sort of technical aspect of his ring work is just thrown out. And
I love his ring work at this point. Like, he's still a brawler, but it's just, I love how sort of like quick and snappy he is with it as well. It's great. Like, and it's just his sort of jerky movements. Even with like his head, I guess he couldn't even do that as much when he'd broken his neck. Like, I love this era Austin, where he's just coming up. Like, this match, I love the match with Brett. I love his performance in Fatal 4-Way and the Rumble. It's all just golden.
That's it. Well, like you sort of said, it's just that power driver. But yeah, this was the match. If I know the WrestleMania 14 match was huge, it was a passing of the torch, it was the Tyson and everything like that. But the match itself is just mediocre.
This is better, yeah.
This is 10 times better than the WrestleMania match.
And they have one in 1996 as well on Raw, which is brilliant too. That's really good. And that's all three matches, different dynamic. Yeah, it's heel, babyface, then you got babyface, then Austin as the babyface and Shawn as the heel, so it completely flips.
That's it. It's the evolution of the characters, wasn't it, kind of thing. But same as you, man. I love this match, and I'll just mention the Shawn Michaels thing is because it just kind of goes to show he's not a twat all the time. You know, in '97, it was just a really nice moment, and it just made me smile. It was Shawn that was kind of part of it. But I do love the fact, as soon as that's done, Austin sat on the ropes, like showing him, like telling him to come back in, and Michaels is like, "No, mate, like DTA, don't trust you. Move back. I'll get him myself," kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then just
good.
Spot after spot. It's just...
And the stuff with the refs at the end, the finish is Austin stuns a ref, doesn't he? Or they squash a ref, and then a ref comes running down. He doesn't do the pin in time, so he gets stunned. And then Shawn does the same with super kick. It's quite it's always a little disappointing when there's not a clean finish, but you understand why they do it. And I think this was a very unique way to do a double finish, because they could have just had the Hart Foundation run in and beat them both up. That's the obvious finish, but instead they did all this stuff with the refs, and it was really quite heelish, but it was very entertaining to watch. And then they both walk off together, and they don't really trust each other. It's a bit like one of those sort of like comedy films where you've got like two sort of characters that are are together, they don't really trust each other, and they're sort of walking at each other and looking at each other. I really like the finish.
Well, side by side as well. Like neither one of them will allow the other one to see the back. It's like, no, mate, I don't trust you behiin me. We're walking.
And then they go like they move slightly away from each other, but also they don't obviously want to back down from each other. I think probably slightly better than the previous match. I'll give it an 8.5. I guess I have to. I gave it an 8 originally, and I felt an 8 was justified, but I do really like it, so I probably could give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I gave it an 8, but I gave the last one a 7. It's a revised 7 on the last match. So yeah, this one got an 8 for me.
Just I like them both for different reasons. Maybe I'll stick with my original scores. I gave one's a low 8, one's a high 8, but they're both 8.
There we go. That works for me.
Very close. I did really enjoy Triple H and Mankind as well.
Yeah, I just think I don't know. Oh, it was during this match as well where the cameraman gets absolutely shunted off the apron, isn't it? Is it this match? Yeah. I think again though, this is then after what I was saying about Sean earlier, about it heartwarming. It's like Sean looks visibly pissed at the cameraman for being in the wrong spot, and he's like, I might be wrong, but he spits excessively twice whilst he's got Austin in the thing.
Well,
and it looks like it's at the cameraman. I'm like,
the more cynical amongst us might say that the Shawn Michaels that helped the kid is the character Shawn Michaels. The one that spat at the cameraman is the real Michael Hickenbottom, whatever his proper name is. Michael Hickenbottom, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, good shout, man. Good shout. That's a good way of looking at it. I don't think it's cynical. I think it's probably right.
I think that's true. Yeah. Like he knows what he's doing when he's like, that's a real babyface move, helping that kid. I suspect Sean is thinking this looks great for me doing this.
Yes. So yeah, that leaves us with the final. That leaves us with Farooq against Undertaker.
Vince, I know he's been in the headlines for being a terrible person recently. He starts off this match not in a good way, which his first line when Farooq comes out, he goes, and Farooq has been playing the race card. It's like just like it's like trying to make it, and all he's been saying is, I'm going to be the first African American champion. Like that's quite a babyface thing to say, really, even though he's meant to be the heel. And Vince is going like, you're playing the race card, and it's just like, no, Vince, no, that's wrong. You're the heel there.
But on the flip side, prior to them coming out, Farooq had because obviously the whole build up of this match is like, it hasn't even really been about that's been an aspect of it, but the more concentrated parts have been the nations in a conflict and Paul Bearer and Undertaker and the blackmail. They've been kind of two separate entities that have just been around this match happening. But Farooq just came out with the line that I think was just absolute gold, when it was just like, Undertaker, don't worry about that blackmail. Worry about
that. I thought that was brilliant.
Gold.
Yeah, absolute I thought that was gold too.
But this is a match on paper. Farouk's awesome. There's a generation or people that only really know Farooq from the APA. This guy who just kicks ass. But the guy's got a legacy, man. In wrestling, the dude is genuine, just awesomeness. So this should be a really, really good match if it's allowed to be. And it was better than I expected it to be. I expected it potentially. It could be awesome. I was expecting it to be the Drizzlings, and it's kind of somewhere in the middle.
I was expecting it to be very average, probably the Drizzlings, and I started off by actually saying that I was like, this does not feel like a main event after the last two matches. All this is a prequel to Kane. It's a storyline match, and then as my notes going on, I put amazing dive where he does the he's doing the. He does, and that really woke me up to it. He's doing old school, and he does like a backwards, like almost like Darby Allin does the grave.
The coffin drop.
Yeah, the coffin drops, the grave bomb. God, what I say. I grew up on 90s wrestling. I don't know modern wrestling. Grave bomb. Yeah, the coffin drop. And he does he's the first person to do a coffin drop, probably. People don't know that. He just goes up, just flies back into all of the nation. It's awesome. And then I put, okay, this is pretty good. And then it's a good match. A lot better than expected. Yes, definitely higher than average for me.
Yeah, I think both guys work as much as they're allowed to do. Like I said, there's some really good moments in there. Farooq looks strong, but again, it's distracted away. You know, even the ending is caused by the fracas within the nation kind of thing. You know, it's the conflict within the nation that causes
storyline match, because they're going to disband the next night, aren't they? I remember that Raw. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I distinctly remember that Raw where they all disband, and because he keeps D'Lo, doesn't he? He says to Clarence Mason, like, Clarence, like, or no, he like says D'Lo, like he's gonna fire him. He's like, hold open the ropes for Clarence Mason, and Clarence Mason and I remember that so much, and I was like, and even though they're still heels, I was like really happy for D'Lo Brown, even though I didn't really know who he was at that point.
Bless D'Lo, still got a job. Clarence sold it perfectly, but yeah, it'd been building up throughout the episode because Michael Hayes or Doc Hendricks managed to get into the nation locker room and Crush went nuts at him and kicking him out and all this kind of sort of stuff. And then it cut back to the locker room, and as Farooq fired them, Savio fired, Crush fired. That's it. Yeah. Job's a good one. So, and we'll be back next week with a new looking nation. That was like the closing line. But yeah, Taker. It would have been a really good main event on Raw.
Yeah, it was. It was a storyline match, and it was overshadowed by the previous two matches for sure. It was weird that Ahmed Johnson came out at the end and just like powerbombed him. I thought, like, especially when Ahmed Johnson was kind of like jobbed out Triple H earlier. Now he's out powerbombing Undertaker, and Undertaker just sort of accepts it. I guess because he knows he's in the wrong. Like, the whole point is, I don't know where they're going with. Is Ahmed going to feud with Undertaker now? I'm trying to think what. I feel like they did have a match at some point, but so Canadian Stampede is against Vader though, isn't he? Or is he?
I remember the 10-man tag. That's it. I remember the 10-man tag for Canadian. I don't remember any other match. I'm not sure.
It might even be like JBL or someone, like just an early Justin Hawk Bradshaw. I think it's quite random. I think that because he's mates with him, so he probably thought, I'm not in the main event. Why don't you put me in a title match with JBL? He's my friend.
Yeah, good shout. But it would make sense for Ahmed and Taker.
Yeah, aren't they?
So that's freaking business is built upon, isn't it? But I think obviously Ahmed came out because as much as he hates Farooq, I think by that point Taker had like chokeslammed him 5 times, or something like that, and he was just coming out.
He's going to join the nation soon, isn't he? So that was almost a prequel to that.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's round about Survivor Series time, isn't it?
I think it happens because he needs to make the new nation up first. I think also, I suspect he's going to get injured for a bit, Ahmed, soon, because he disappears, doesn't he? He does that for a few months at a time in this era. So he does, because he has another round of matches with Farooq when he comes back, and Farooq gets really pissed off with him, legit. I think they end up almost in a real fight, possibly do have a real fight, those two. It's not really a real fight. I think Farooq just sort of batters him because he's
legitimately a badass.
He keeps hurting him. Like, I think, Farouk's like legit hard man, whereas Ahmed's obviously a big guy, but I don't think he's like a hard man compared to someone like Farooq.
Farooq is one of those guys that in the laws of wrestling is known as one of the guys you just do not. He's like up there with Haku kind of thing.
He's intimidating, isn't he? Especially with big tree trunk legs as well. I always think that, like, he's just like a solid guy, isn't he?
It's just an absolute unit. So I'll say it would have been a great main event on Raw. I'm trying to remember the other scores. I think I gave it a 6 because I kind of fell somewhere in the middle. It wasn't the best match. It wasn't the worst match. It was there kind of thing.
I'll give it a 6.5. I think I liked it slightly more than a 6, but yeah, that's about right. It's definitely better than average.
But again, based on the scores, it's another WWE show in '97 where you've got 2-3 at a push good matches.
Yeah.
I think mainly the 3 good matches would be the 2 Mankind ones and Austin Michaels. But this is a potential 4th decent match.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I scored Undertaker and Farooq higher than Mankind and Jerry Lawler, but I like both of them, only slightly. I'd say all 4 of those matches were good. Yeah, the stinkers were Crush Goldust, Hart Foundation, LOD and Sid. I know you quite like that one, but Triple H and Ahmed. For me, that's what I would say.
So it's going in the right direction then. So based on that,
there's more good
bad
matches than bad.
Yeah. Whereas previously it's been like 4 bad, 3 solids at the end. So okay, yeah, we're turning the corner. It's going the other way now. There's more good matches than bad matches. We're getting into WCW territory now, so it's all right. That's when it starts leveling out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, based on previous WWE shows of the year, obviously WrestleMania's WrestleMania, Rumble's a Rumble. Final 4 still pretty high up. Would you rate this higher than Final 4?
Final 4 was just one match, really, wasn't it? Like that was. I think the Final 4 match was better than any match on this card, but I think overall, King of the Ring, I preferred this overall. I don't know, because Final 4 match is so good. And was there another good match in it? I feel there was, but this.
I think was it Taker's. No, it wasn't Taker. Taker was in the Final 4, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was. There was at least one other good match on that.
I think I would put this slightly higher than Fatal 4. My order of matches would go for WWF would be WrestleMania, Royal Rumble because of the Rumble itself, King of the Ring, Final 4. All those 3 are quite close together, though, by the way. And then then we have 2 mini houses, Bad Blood and the other one.
There's Cold Day in Hell and Revenge of the Taker.
Oh yeah, Revenge of the Taker, and I can't remember which was which, but there was Austin Undertaker on one of them, and Austin Brett on the other one. Yeah. They were both all right, but they were far below the rest of them.
This one, yeah.
I can't really differentiate between the 2. I couldn't tell you which one I preferred now.
I think Cold Day from Hell was the worst out of the lot so far.
Which one was that? Was that Austin Undertaker main event?
Yes, with the Hart Foundation sat at ringside. So it's a decent match.
Actually, no, the other one was surprisingly good because it had Bret Austin 2 or 3 even, and it also had that really good match with Mankind and Undertaker, which I'd forgotten about, where he gets put through the table head first. So that one, yeah, I'd definitely put the Cold Day in Hell with Undertaker Austin. That's in last place, and then Bad Blood is that the right way around? None of these are Bad Blood. That's coming up, isn't it? Yeah. Revenge of the Taker.
That's the Hell in the Cell.
I would put after King of the Ring, and then
So it rates up there. It's in the top half of shows so far. So as I say, barring a Rumble, barring a Mania, it's very much at the top. So as I said,
I feel like the staple shows they're always going to be better, aren't they? Like the WrestleMania, King of the Rings, and Royal Rumbles, like this, they're going to be better than the In Your House. Because In Your Houses are all like kind of the same, aren't they? They're the B shows.
Exactly. So as far as In Your Houses go, we've turned a corner. I think I sort of said we're getting 4 out of 3, 4 good matches, 3 bad matches. So yeah, if you've never watched it, the point I'm trying to get to is there's 4 good matches to watch. You can forget about the 3 that we've mentioned. If you want to watch 4 matches, watch those 4 matches, and move on to. Well, depends if you're watching WCW. We've got that offering next. If you're only watching WWF, get those 4 matches watched, and then go watch Canadian Stampede, and just prepare to have your. I'm hyped to watch that show. I'm so looking forward to that episode.
Yeah, the Canadian Stampede one. We got a special guest as well, haven't we, on that one?
Yeah, I think I might be trying to. I'm checking the bookings, checking his availability. But yeah, I'm going to try and get Mr. Sean Only in on that one as well, just because it's I want to kind of feel like it's not a Mania, but it's a damn good show, and it's
a
a
real
part
special.
It's a part of history.
Show.
So I want it to make it stand out. So yeah, I want to get a guest in on that one. So I'm trying to get Mr. Only involved.
Yeah.
And
well, you're talking about. Oh no, that was a different thing. Yeah, a different series which we haven't talked about yet. Keep that one in there. Keep that one in the pipeline.
Oh no, I mean anybody who watched yesterday's episode knows Priscilla's up for a chat at some point as well. You know, they come out and said 97 is one of their favourite times for wrestling, as well as WCW 2000, but for totally different reasons. So yeah, if you watched yesterday's episode, well, depends when I upload this. If you watched the last episode, you would have heard Priscilla say that. So you know that's coming at some point.
Yeah.
So sidebar, I might have panicked him a little bit because obviously we were signing off, saying thank you for chatting. And I was like, oh, I'll see you in York on the 10th. And there's like, I was like, oh shit, no, I just think True Grit, I just think Priscilla. I was like, I didn't even look if he was even on the show, kind of thing.
No, Priscilla's not that one. Not every wrestler is on every show. So I've got such a large roster now, and I'm actually trying to reduce it because I don't like it when fans had to rush for a train at the end. I know at the Leeds show, it was such a good show, but like the last train was like 10:15, so everyone had to rush off. So I just don't want that to happen anymore. So the shows are going to be just as good a quality, if not better, but they're going to start at 7 and finish before 10. That's every show is going to be like that. So it means one less match, but and that means a couple less wrestlers on each show. So I'm having to rotate it a little bit, but all the regulars.
Tell Bobby to do the raffle quicker as well.
Sorry.
Tell Bobby to do the raffle quicker. Make him earn his money. Speed him up a bit. Like, yo.
I know. I told him. I said less Mexican ways, please. That was good. That.
I enjoyed that. That was cool. Oh yeah, if any obviously True Grit fans watching at the start of the last show, just you coming out and telling Nash to get out, and Bobby trying to get Nash out of the ring, and even Ace was like, "Come on, dude, we need to go." And Nash was like, "No."
That was legit. Because I was determined because I knew it was going to be I knew we had a lot on the show, and I wanted it to finish at 10. It finished at 7 minutes past, so it's better than a lot of British shows, but I was still annoyed it overran. But then I was determined to start at 7. I know no British show does, but they were still in the ring, and I was like, Bobby, get them out, and they weren't. So I just come out, and I was like, I did it in a jovial way, but I was like, it was legit. I was like, Nashboat, get out. We're starting this at 7, and I did. And even the video guy was like, oh, you could have told me to start. And I was like, we're starting at 7. He was like, shows never start on time. I was like, well, they are now. They are now. This is 2024. New year, new me. We're starting shows on time, and people are going to catch their last train.
It's the unwritten rule. It's like I sort of say to someone, it's like, oh, what time the doors open? It's just any wrestling show in general. It's like, oh, doors open at 6. It's like, I'll get there for about 6. You know, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you've got like an hour before doors open at 6. Show starts at 7. So
because we got like nice. so much going on with like El Cantina or the pizza place, and we have a bar, and it's kind of like I listened to one podcast that was saying it's a nice little meetup for fans. A lot of fans know each other and stuff, so it's quite and you may have noticed every show I bring out a bit of entertainment in that hour, like Nash Boat and Sash and stuff. I was just funny bit behind the scenes what happened. I was like Sash, just go out and rile them up and talk about how you're going to win the Rumble, and he did, and he was doing a great job. And I was like, I'll send Nash Boat out, and I got Wing Commander, and I was like, oh, you go out there. And I was like, where's Ace? He was like, I don't know. I'm like, why is he not? He's your tag partner. And he was like, oh, I didn't tell him. I was like, why not? And I was like, and then I text Ace, and I was like, where are you? And he was like, what am I meant to be? I'm still in my street clothes. Just get it. And he came running. You know how he is. And he was like, what am I meant to be doing, JC? And I was like, just go out there and entertain the fans. I never felt more like a bloody like circus promoter. I was like, get out there and entertain them. They didn't have anything planned. But the whole thing was brilliant. I think Sash was a bit nervous because his was all ad-libbed as well, and I was like, "You'll be great." Like people think you're a prick.
Yeah, Sash is, pun intended, Sash is money kind of thing. The guy just knows his character so well. He can go out there and just turn it on and just talk shit for like 10 minutes to the audience, and the fans will just boo him. And the guy does it so well. Like I said, he's one of the few people that's actually done an episode as Sash kind of thing. Yeah, so it's basically an hour-long promo. That whole episode was just Sash being Sash. So I've got nothing but respect for the dude because that was just amazing. So yeah, he's one of those guys you can rely on. I think you can send him out there and he'll just work the audience, into a frenzy. And it just means every punch he gets later on gets a bigger cheer.
Yeah, and he makes himself, even if he's only got a small role on the show, he makes himself a big part of the show just by the way he acts and stuff.
Definitely. So, right, before I let you go, quickly touch upon, we just mentioned, we've got York on the 10th. Obviously, there was the 6th match announced earlier on Twitter, which has got 3 True Grits debuts.
There's only one debut in it technically. So Ellis Barker has
the Rumble
wrestled for me before. He's wrestled a few times before. He's only done one at Leeds. That's probably why you've not seen much of him. He's done one at York and he did a few in Sheffield. And also Adam Bolt did one in Sheffield when I was doing the True Grit TV. Jay Vertigo has never wrestled for me, but I wanted him on for a while. So I just wanted I wanted those 3. I thought that like I did at January, it's going to be like a real good triple threat match with 3 up and coming wrestlers who are really good. So I think that should be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, I popped huge for that when I saw it. Although I'm not going to lie, my match for the night that I'm just totally invested in. We're talking about Sash. I'm sure he'll be in the corner. He'll be running shenanigans and making mischief. Is Crash Boat versus Shreddy and Vujic.
Okay, yeah. Dude. See, they eliminated Crash Boat at the Rumble, so they got their tag match. Yeah, that should be good. Like you've got Crash Boat are always awesome, and then 2 quite different wrestlers in Shreddy and Vujic, but both awesome in their own right. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love, Shreddy's just this larger than life character.
He's good at the Rumble, right? That's the first his True Grit debut, actually. I always sort of forget that because there's certain wrestlers I know really well because I used to do so many Newcastle shows. I was on shows with Shreddy all the time and I've wrestled him as well. And then when I book them, I'm like, oh shit, I've got like a different. Yeah, I'm booking them on my show now. I didn't until it never occurred to me I'd never booked Shreddy before. But it's he was really good. I thought all the Newcastle guys are really good. Tim Strange was really good as well. He's massive. I didn't realize how tall he was.
Obviously, you got him against Lou Nixon in York.
Yep. Yeah. That should be interesting. That should be a heavy hitting match for sure.
Yeah, I think there'll be plenty of oohs and ahs during that match. Lou's awesome, the dude can hold his own, but yeah, Tim's just this absolute horse of a man. He's a mountain. Quick shout out, just whilst I've got you here as well, just to gauge your reaction. Again, anybody who knows me, I love Kemper. I think Kemper's amazing. I think he's just such an absolute star in British wrestling. He's got the potential to be this amazing talent. He's huge. Yeah. And when he came out at the Rumble, he got treated like a star at that Rumble for me. The fans popped through him. The fans were behind him. I mean, obviously, you were impressed with what you saw.
I thought it was brilliant. Like everyone, when he walked out, even I booked him, so I know, I know what he's about. But he looked like a star. I was like, oh, and the people that work on merch and the guy that makes my music, they all know each other, and they all looked at but they'd never seen Kemper, and they looked at each other and they mouthed like, who is that? Like they were proper like marking out, and I was like, I always use that lot because I'm very close with all of them, but they're in the wrestling business because they work for me, but they are not in the wrestling business and they're wrestling fans. So they're always a good gauge of what works and what doesn't work. And they were, like,
It's like the airport thing. You know, if you look twice in an airport, the guy's got a star quality. Yeah. So yeah, if people who are there that are casual wrestling fans, but he gets their attention. It's like you're saying, like your dad when he saw Leon Slater, he was like, that dude's a star. You know, you've got something. Yeah, it's the same thing. You know, if a casual fan can look at somebody and be like, oh shit, yeah, who's that?
So my sister's partner, she is not a wrestling fan at all. I'd say, she actively doesn't like wrestling sometimes, but she works some merch sometimes as well. Loves Priscilla. So Priscilla has that effect as well on people. Like all the time when she doesn't really show it. That the last show, she wasn't at the Rumble. She was at the Jacob's Ladder. The whole time she wasn't interested. When they're battering each other with straps, wasn't interested. In the Priscilla match with HT Drake, she just stopped and was just looking at the match, and we always laugh because we're like, she didn't do that for any other match. She was like, I just love Priscilla. Why does Priscilla not win? Like, I want Priscilla to win.
That's it, though. But no, man, I'm glad Kemper has obviously made an impression. And hopefully, we'll see him at future shows. From a fan's perspective, I want.
I mean, there's so many wrestlers I want on. Yeah. It's tricky to get everyone on, and I'm trying to do it now. So the format, we've got a few things coming, I guess. So we've got like the three main belts now. We got the men's title, the women's, and the tag title, which is the black, white, and red, which is logo colors. And the next two that I want to create, I want to do a pride title, which is LGBT wrestlers, which is the red and the white together. So that maybe pink. I haven't made the belts yet, but that's one that we could do. And then the other one will be the Pure Grit title, which is the black and white together. It would be grey. That's what I'm thinking. And there'll be our 5 titles, and people aren't like pigeonholed to their category or their division. You can do stuff in multiple divisions. Like we could have women wrestle for the tag belts, for instance. People in the pride division could wrestle for the men's or women's or whatever. So it's not trying to divide everyone. There will be crossover, but it's to have like 5 distinct divisions, and I'm trying to get it so there'll be like a couple of tag matches, a couple of women's, couple of men's, and then a pride and a Pure Grit. And then there'll probably be there'll have to be some sort of crossover if I'm only doing 7 matches. But that's kind of how my booking is going to work. It's a little bit unlucky for a lot of the heel men because I have so many of them and I have so many good ones, and it's tricky. It's tricky to find spots for them at the moment, which is a shame because there's so many good ones. But I'm trying to rotate it best as I can, so we have like different characters on each show. So you want to try and get the champions on every show, but that's kind of the direction True Grit's going. Hopefully, as a fan, you think that's good.
No, sounds good. And the thing is, with that many belts, you don't have to have all the champions on. You could have like 2 or 3 titles being defended. And then the storyline for the other, for whoever's chasing the other belts, all 5 belts that need to be on every show.
That's the other thing. Focus on different things on different shows, so it's not always. So that's possibly, how I'm gonna have like your slightly different storylines to leads because there's a slightly different fan base, and there's going to be some standalone shows. I guess I've teased it earlier. The one in July is going to be. That will be the Pride show. I haven't announced that. That's going to be a fully, fingers crossed. I think because I've just changed the date with Left Bank, but it's going to be the Saturday of Pride weekend in Leeds. The festival is on Sunday, so I wanted to make a fully LGBT show. So it'll have 6 qualifier matches, and the main event will be True Grit Games with the 6 winners of those matches, and the winner will be the first Pride champion, and I believe they'll be the first. It'll be the first Pride championship in the UK. At least that's what I'm told, and that's so that's something I'm very excited about that I'm going to do in July, and that will be obviously it will be some of my wrestlers I have on at the moment, and then completely different wrestlers, and then I may do something with it. The problem with the Pure Grit one. Some people love it and some people aren't interested, and I don't know if I need maybe almost have like standalone shows of pure grit for people that like that, and maybe they're appeal to a slightly different audience. I don't know, because some people love having just like one pure grit match on, and I really like it. And it seems to be a bit of a Marmite one at the moment. Like some people love it. I know you love it. I love it. And then there's other, I guess, more casual fans that don't really get it yet, but they do sometimes really get into it. A good example.
As much as I love it, I don't know if I wouldn't want to sit and watch 3 hours of it.
Yeah, so maybe
I like it, but it's counteracted by other stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of our selling points, which is an argument against keeping champions and stuff off shows, because every championship is slightly different, and I think one of our biggest selling points at True Grit is our shows are so versatile. Every match is different, and it keeps it interesting, and I want to keep it that way, because that.
I'd say even if the title's not on the show, then you could have a storyline match building up to a chase.
I see what you mean. Yeah. So you may have you may have someone in that division fighting for a number one contendership and fight and sometimes if you keep a champion off a show, it makes them seem special. And Sarah could be watching this, like, don't keep me off shows. I don't want to lose a payday. What are you saying? It'll be after you. Like, why did you tell him to keep champions off the shows? But equally, not every wrestler can do every show, so it sometimes just works. Like Encerico couldn't do the Rumble one, and it was quite good to have quite good not to have him on, but it's quite good to have someone different and bring Saxon back for the night, and that gave it a real different and special feel. And now when Encerico comes back, that's going to be awesome too.
Yeah, well, that's it. I treated the next day as much as I loved the Rumble, and Encerico was missed, and I'm more hyped now to see him in York. So it works, it's that kind of way.
Big match with Brady, which I'm excited about. I feel that's like the most anticipated match of True Grit history. Well, actually, that and Ivy and Rio, if it even happens. But I feel those two matches are,
it's building. It's definitely building. Like I said, it's going somewhere. And given the timeline, we're talking like Marchish time, so we're talking in sort of very close to Mania, time when everything's building up. Everything comes to a head. And for a wrestling fan, that's when we're trained for things to come to a head. It's around March, April time. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, Redemption is kind of my flagship show in my mind. I think because it was the show that got us started last year, and it was also the show that got cancelled originally. So for me, that second show was my own redemption, and like giving a fuck you to the people that tried to get the show. Well, they did get the show cancelled, and for whatever reason had it in for me. And like now look at us. So for me personally, redemption like means a lot, and that's why I want it to be the flagship show. And I think it is as well, because it kind of ties in with the True Grit branding and stuff as well.
Definitely right, dude. Notice the time, just so I've got a bit of time to edit on. I've got some snazzy little videos to incorporate into this episode. Hit people up, let them know where they can find the True Grit goodness on the socials.
True Grit Wrestle on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and True Grit Wrestling on TikTok and YouTube as well. The TikTok, I never go on. I've actually got a social media manager who does everything, and I oversee everything except for, I know what's going on the TikTok, but I never go on. I go on like every couple of weeks, and there's all these comments. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I didn't even know this was going on. But yeah, apparently we're on TikTok, but I'm just too old to know about it or work it properly.
You are. I tag you stuff on TikTok all the time and stuff as well. So it's the Pies Association,
right? As well. Do you ever get responded to on it?
I think so. I'm sure. Yeah. I think a few times I've tagged you guys. Yeah. I think they had an easy day that day because I just posted loads of videos up of like shows, and then just reposted everything I did onto the True Grit page. I was like, there you go. It made your day easy. You didn't have to do anything. You can just share my stuff, and there it is.
Yeah. Really good. I think it's been a game changer, our social media goal. If anyone is interested in improving their social media, get in touch and I'll put you in touch.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. A lot of the content now is like the video packages with like the writing on. It's just telling stories within like 60 seconds. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, you can come find us. Facebook group, Work the Left Side. Instagram, run by Ash, is WTLS316. We are on Twitter or X at WTLS420. TikTok, again, WTLS420. Massive shout out as well to, I kind of want to start doing this, but I keep forgetting, to Fast Count Clothing, who sponsor these episodes. Just a very cool t-shirt wrestling design company that I'm trying to help get some momentum. So yeah, check them out. They're now on Twitter at Fast Count C, capital F, capital C, capital C. Go give them a follow and keep your eyes out. Spike Trivet, Brandon Butcher, t-shirts out at the minute, and a lot more to come. So
yeah, I saw that. They look good.
Yeah, that's it. And I know who he's working with at the minute, and he's got a couple of very good teas coming out very, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled.
I'm back to 1%. I'm plugging in.
Thank you so much. I will let you get gone.